Good evening and blessings to you. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Well, wonderful. I have a number of announcements about retreats. And so our next online retreat is February 7th through the 9th. And I would love it if you could join us for that. And if you need a scholarship, you're welcome just to send me an email and we can get one of those set up for you. In addition to that, our next in-person residential retreat will be April 3rd through the 6th in Sedona, Arizona. Going to be right in the vortex. And so if you want to come to the vortex, send me an email. It's kind of a private retreat. It's going to be really small and intimate, no more than 16 people or right around there, around 16 people. And it's in a really beautiful place. For those of you who've never been to Sedona, it should be a national park, but someone went there first and built a bunch of houses. But it's just an incredibly beautiful place and has immense spiritual energy and power there. One of the great vortexes of the world, and especially North America. And it's a place of it's just a lot of magic there, a lot of energy, a lot of light. I did a couple little retreats there with Adyashanti back in the day, and I just remember just having just such a wonderful time. So I do hope you can join us for that. And if so, you have to email me and I'll send you details. And I'm still working out all the kinks with everything. So it'll be a couple days before I have that sorted out. And then in July at the Kripalu Yoga Center in Massachusetts, July 13th through the 18th, we'll have our big 5-day long retreat. And again, that one's unlimited, so as many people as one can come. And but please, I look forward to having you at any or all of them and connecting in the light, connecting in this deep space of love, truth, and peace. Okay, those are the big announcements. So please, let's, I have a hard time thinking about the future. I can only really hold one retreat in my mind at a time, but I want us all to think about joining the February 7th retreat. And the beautiful thing about an online retreat is it's nice, it's easy, you don't have to travel, it's not a big pilgrimage. You go to Sedona, that'll be a pilgrimage, but an online retreat, you can do it from the comfort of your home. And I hope everyone can make it to that. Okay. All right, what I'd like us to do tonight to start is I want us to begin satsang by just shutting down our eyes. And I'm going to invite you right from the beginning to surrender the contents of your mind. I'm going to invite you to surrender your views, your perspectives, and allow yourself to be empty, open, and free. And so as we breathe in, I invite you to feel throughout your body and to take notice how you hold your body, how you relate to the body, how you experience the body. Most of us walk around holding a great deal of tension throughout the entirety of the nervous system. Most of us have done this for so long we don't even realize that we're holding. We just think of it as a normal way of being. But I invite you to look as if this is the first time we're looking together. And to notice, is there tension in the forehead, in the cheeks, the back of the skull, the jaw, the neck, and the shoulders? And we can ask an innocent question, like, do I need to hold tension in the muscles of my face, the jaw, the shoulders? Like right now, like, do I need to tense? Do I need to grip? And as we feel into the heart and the chest, well, what does the heart and the chest feel like? Is it open and free? Or is there a feeling of claustrophobia, or anxiety, or old heavy emotions that have nothing to do with this moment? Nothing to do with this moment. And of course, the invitation is to surrender. To feel into the body and to surrender the thoughts, the feelings, the perspectives of limitation. Can we surrender? Can we open? And see and experience the true nature of the mind. Just vast, spacious emptiness that is awake and aware without doing and efforting. Without doing and efforting. And so softening in the space of the head and the heart, softening along the spine and throughout the entirety of the nervous system, the belly, the hara, the root, the legs, the feet, the arms, the hands. And even smiling a little bit if you notice tension. And we soften there, and we smile. We're not judging ourselves for being tense or tight, or we're not judging ourselves if our body is full of guarded and defended thoughts, grasping thoughts. Let us smile and gently release any and all thoughts, perspectives from our consciousness. Let us play together in this space of openness. And let us play in a way where we happily surrender our view, our perspective on life? Can we surrender our view, our perspective? And notice who, what is here that has no view, no thought, no timeline. And so, right from the beginning, I welcome you into the space of the absolute. The absolute. And so we can ask ourselves, well, what is the absolute like? Spacious, radiant, free, eternal. And if you notice, the absolute doesn't have a problem. For the absolute is all of life and beyond. This lifetime, this world, beyond. There may be energy flowing, feelings that come and go. But if you notice the absolute, it doesn't come and go. It's always eternally here. Awake, aware, radiant, and free. And at any moment, if you want to fully be human, you forget about the absolute and go right into your thoughts, right into your story. But most of us have spent a whole lifetime in the human. We've come to satsang to step into something greater, something beyond the dance of human life, human experience. That negotiating ego, fighting with this and fighting with that. But isn't it glorious that there is something here right now that is always already perfect, always already free. So please join me in drinking from this cup of freedom. Breathing it in and breathing it out. And coming to recognize that you are already good, already whole and complete. That you are already good, already whole. already complete. And so from this space, I will ask you, is there anything here right now that you would like to surrender? Is there anything here right now that is limited, that you'd like to cut loose? And so let's cut it loose. Let's cut it loose. We have a view that clouds your freedom. And most of us have had these views. I'm unworthy. Something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with life. Something's wrong with my partner. Something's wrong with my belly. Yeah, something's wrong with my big toe. And we have these bodies. And when you have a body, I'm sure, especially as you age, you can rattle off a list of problems. But this is the question on the spiritual path. Are you the body? Are you the mind with all the thoughts? Or are you that which inhabits the body? Are you the witness that views all the thoughts, all the limitations, all the feelings? And so, as human beings, sometimes we take our thoughts and our feelings far too seriously. Far too seriously. And so, in this moment, can we smile? Like a cosmic Buddha, cosmic yogini, and release any limitations, release any views, and join together in this space of being awake, of being the totality. And so breathing, feeling, softening, opening, smiling. And yes, I welcome you to Satsang. And so you can open your eyes if you like. I welcome you here. And I like to begin Satsang in this way. Where right in the beginning, we get oriented. Oriented in the space of true nature, the space of freedom, the space of that which is awake and aware, that which is whole and complete. We get oriented in the truth. The whole world is always trying to sell us something to complete us, to fix us, to make us feel better, to make us look better. Whether it's a shiny car, or makeup and lipstick, or, this type of clothing or that type of clothing. I heard this thing the other day, and I don't know where it was. There's something about just the company Patagonia, and it said, well, They're trying to sell you a lifestyle. If you wear this jacket, well, you will be an adventurous type. You'll be an adventurous type. So they try to sell you an image, a lifestyle. You put this on and you'll be one of those rock climbers, one of those skiers, one of those explorers on some grand expedition. You won't just be in your boring, mundane life. It's kind of silly. It's kind of silly. I had this experience just the other day. I was meeting with someone, an old friend, and in London, and in England. And at the end of the session, he said, "Craig, I just want to take you downstairs and I want to introduce you to one of my friends." And, it's his like friend or business partner. And, I think together they would listen to some of these satsangs. And so he carried me down like on his computer, to meet his friend. And, and I saw this fella. He's a really beautiful man. His name was Tom. And so when I looked into him, I saw just this immense perfection in his being, this nobility, this strength, such goodness, such goodness. This is my first time, meeting this fella. I didn't really know anything about him. But just seeing him, just his face just lighting up, my screen. And it's like he was this beacon of light, like a beacon of nobility. And it's so beautiful when your eyes are open and you can see. And we spoke about this last week, that I gave you all this assignment, that I'm inviting you to see life. See life through the lens of the heart, the perspective of the heart. And when you start to look out at life in this way, we see beauty and goodness. We see truth, nobility. I mean, you could see foolishness too. Like occasionally. Actually, I went out, Friday night, and just went to the supermarket, and I was like, "Oh my Lord, oh my Lord." It's like sometimes when you get out of your car at night in a parking lot, and it was really cold. It warmed up, but it was really cold on Friday, and so a lot of the homeless guys, they hang out at the supermarket and just kind of go in and out of the store to keep warm at night. I got out of my car and it was like just from every direction. They were just like, kind of shady characters, kind of just like walking at me in just different directions. And it freaked me out a little bit. It freaked me out a little bit. But when we're awake, we will see danger when there's dangerous things. And we'll see absolute beauty when there's beautiful things. And the funny thing is sometimes you'll get both simultaneously. You'll see beauty in a dangerous human being, or a confused human being, or a human being who's on drugs or whatever it is. You'll see beauty in them. You'll see all this light in them. And it's one of the things that just happens when the heart is open, when the mind is awake and clear. You see life. It's like your senses are heightened, and it's as if awareness can see in all directions simultaneously. When I was studying in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, we used to do this meditation, the Prajnaparamita meditation, where we bring awareness up out the top of the head and then turn it on with a 360 view. And wow, I loved it so much. I just kept it on. I just kept on that 360 view all the time. And, sometimes, I'll see things out of the back of my head. I'll say, hey, what is that? What is that over there? What is that? But in order to see in this way, we have to start our day, start our life with a willingness to surrender all of our views, to surrender all of our views. And most people don't want to surrender their views. Most people are deeply attached and create an identity around their view. When I was a young kid, I had an identity as a skater punk hippie, just like, and so I just had all this view of, from the perspective of a skateboarder. And you know what a skateboarder likes? They like concrete, and they're always looking for transitions in concrete. And so I could drive around, a city or an industrial park and, just look for things that were fun to skate. And, at one point I was a snowboarder. And when I was a snowboarder, my view, well, when you're a snowboarder, your view is greatly influenced by weather patterns. It's like snow, 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 snow. You're always praying for snow and fresh powder and, having so much fun in that. And now, as I'm older in life, I'm not, flying through the air on a snowboard. I let go of that view and I have this different view that I'm not so excited about snow, even though when I just see snow, when I experience snow, well, snow is this magical thing that falls from the sky and, takes a brown, dirty, rocky world and turns it white and turns it all white. Seems like it brings like a blanket of purity over the land. But when I look from the perspective of my old body, and I see lots of snow, I'm like, oh, there's gonna be a lot of shoveling. There's gonna be a lot of work, and I see it as a struggle. And so we have these choices throughout our life and throughout our day, how to view reality. And if we're going to be a Buddha, we view reality naked. By naked, I mean we don't have a view. We don't have a view. I know people right now who have planned that for the next 4 years, they are going to be miserable because somebody is president. And I'm just like, man, that's a terrible way to live. This is a terrible way to live. And then, of course, I know people who were miserable the last 4 years because somebody else was president. It's like crazy way to live. Crazy way to live. Insane way to live. I know some people who still are terrified of COVID-19. And it's like, man, we're going to have this virus, forever now. And so it's just like, you're going to just continue to be terrified of it forever. Forever. I don't know what year we're on. I guess we're on year 5. And it's like, we can't live like this. And then there's people who it's like their parents have been dead for 15 years and they're still angry at their parents. It's like, can you let it go? Can we let it die? And can we come into this present moment? Can we come into this present moment? and be the fullness of what we are right here, right now. But so often throughout the day, we are constantly polluting our mind. Now, I know it's confusing that often I use this word mind two different ways. It's just something that for some reason in Buddhism, we haven't sorted this out yet. But there's like the mind, like the thinking mind that's programmed and conditioned, and it has this massive fight or flight response to life. And then there's this other mind, Buddha mind, which is the space which is awake and aware, which is spacious and free, which is whole and complete. And so this true mind is already free. It's already awake. It's perfectly complete and whole. And yet all day long we pollute this mind with all these divisive viewpoints, all these arguments with reality, arguments with the neighbor, arguments with the self, arguments with, sometimes we have a lawyer arguing with an inner child, and another guy over here criticizing the whole thing, and we got a voice of a step parent in there or something, and it's like, oh my Lord, split off, aspects of mom and dad showing up, telling us we're not good enough, we need to work harder. It's an insane way to live. But if we want to be free, we do what we're doing tonight. We are surrendering our view and our perspective and just noticing, what is my life like? What is my life like? When I have no view, no perspective, no fight, no argument. I've met fellas who, and ladies who were on the AA path, and they were on it for 30 years, like 3 decades in AA. I'm like, man, that's incredible. But still calling themselves an alcoholic. I'm like, well, they haven't had a drink in 30 years. I'm like, let's let go of the viewpoint that we're an alcoholic. Let's let go of that. Now, you can maintain a commitment that I'm not going to drink. Like, I don't drink because alcohol is poison. And that's wisdom. It's just a basic wisdom, basic knowing. Basic knowing. Now I can, search around in the cells of my body and I can find, the epigenetics of an alcoholic. Because I have a lot of that in my family. But I don't need to think about it. I don't need to see life from the viewpoint of the past. When I do so, I join my ancestors in a space of suffering. When I come into the truth, I see I'm not an alcoholic. What's here is a Buddha. What's here is awake and aware. What's here is happy for no apparent reason. No apparent reason. And by that, I mean just I should rather say no egoic reason. There is an apparent reason. The apparent reason is when you let go of all your views and you discover this unpolluted mind. What creates a feeling of happiness? That is happiness. This happiness arises as we feel whole and complete. And I can remember, I don't know when this was, like maybe a year or so ago, I was up in Northern California, like Arcata and McKinleyville, and right along that redwood highway. And I looked out at the ocean, and I had my little friend Doodles there, and Buster. I'm just going to show everyone Doodles again just because I love Doodles so much. This picture was actually from that day. Funny enough. Here's my little friend Doodles. What a sweet guy. But I was in my van, and he was sitting shotgun, him and Buster. And, I had the window down. And out the window was the vast Pacific Ocean, on their side. And on my side, out my window, are just these immense redwood trees, so beautiful and luscious. When you're in the redwoods, it's just like so divine, so divine. My favorite places on planet Earth. But there was no view there, just a guy and a couple dogs driving down the coast, without a thought, without a care in the world. And this is what Buddha nature is like. It's innately happy, innately good. And again, there was just something about this fella that I saw this last week in England there. It's just, his nature was so good. So good. It's just radiating from his heart, his chest, his eyes, his face. So good. And it's a problem when we wake up. We see goodness everywhere. But when our ego is stressed, if it's stressed to a high degree, we see suffering everywhere. And it's the same world. And sometimes it can even be the same person. Like we can be awake in the morning. And then, someone could come to us with some bad news, some terrible news. And if we give in to the news, if we believe it, if we just, take that and swallow that bag of rocks, like, again, it's the same person. It's the same day. And we can just shift just like that, just into a hell realm, into a stress realm. We can, so for some of us, when we're greatly stressed, we actually want to kill people. Kill people, destroy. And, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. That's why, of course, all these wars are happening on planet Earth. We get so stuck in a view and so stressed, thinking and repeating that view and believing in that perspective. Or we can do this other thing, this courageous thing. It takes great courage to put down one's view. Great courage. It seemed like just such a simple thing, but so many of us are just so enmeshed in our views. So attached to them, so identified. But with just a little, I want to say like a little ounce of courage, we could ask, like, do I need this view? Is this perspective helpful for me? Is it helpful for me? Does it diminish my experience or open my experience? What is this view, this thought that I'm thinking? What does it do for me? Some people look in the mirror and they say, I'm fat, or I'm skin and bones. And it's just like, what does that do? What does that do for us? And when we are awake, we see the beauty, the absolute beauty in all of life. Whether we're 20 pounds too heavy or 20 pounds too light, we see the beauty in it all. In it all. We see light radiating from our skin, from our presence. And we smile. And we smile. And we share this smile with the world. But it's an insane thing. An insane thing. To look at one's body temple and to judge it. To judge it. Sometimes I look at my body temple, my hair's sticking up in every direction. I'm like, oh, look at that wild guy. Look at that. Look at that. It just makes me smile seeing the wildness of that character. I have to wear a beanie all the time, make myself presentable to y'all. To cover up the madness that's growing out of the top of my head. It's a silly thing being human. And if we can smile and open, to the silliness, there's no problem. There's no problem. But if we look at ourselves and judge ourselves, judge this body temple, it is a body that was given to us by life. It doesn't even make any sense to complain. It's like, we can complain, but most of us aren't going to get a new body anytime soon. Anytime soon. But it can be sweet if we can just look at this body temple and smile, and the body temple lights up. If we look at this temple and judge it, our heart begins to close. We feel disempowered. And it literally feels like an act of violence. And so every time we judge ourselves or judge another, like we're contributing to the violence of the world. We're contributing to the wars of this world. The rejection of life. And so anyways, I'm going to invite us all just to work with this, with letting go of our views and just walking around empty. Empty. So I've offered you all a number of homework assignments. One is going out at night and seeing the vastness of the night sky. I've just been amazed night after night after night. I think yesterday there was this big alignment of planets, but if you go out there, you'll see them. They're still all out there. And see and experience yourself as the hugeness of the night sky. And so that's one of our assignments. The second assignment is to see life. Just imagine that your eyes are on your heart and you look out at life. And you'll notice it's a different perspective then. Like sometimes if you just look from here, a lot of us get into like this mental dry kind of perspective or scientific materialism. But when you come down into the heart, it's like the perspective shifts. You start to see and experience unity. There's a great beauty there. immense beauty, a shocking beauty. And the third assignment is going to be us practicing just letting go of our views. Or just noticing. If you have a view, and when you don't have a view, we walk around with a tremendous amount of space. The mind will be very silent. You'll experience this great immensity. But as soon as you pick up a view, I want you to notice, well, what does that feel like? When you pick up a view, you hold on to this view, especially if it's a really negative view. I'm not good enough. There's no place for me on planet Earth. Nobody loves me. I'll never find a partner. What are some views? It's hard for me to find a view. Mine is so empty. My neighbor's wrong. I don't like my neighbor. It's like, how many people have done that dance? I don't like this guy on my street. I don't like the way he looks. I don't like his dog. I've tripped over that one before when people have a really mean dog. I notice myself just like shutting down in front of their house. It's like, is that the truth? No, that's not the truth. I can stay open. Now I can be aware as well. I can walk fast, but I don't have to shut down. I don't have to shut down. And so really paying attention to what your views are, your limiting views, the views that veil reality, the views that color reality. And sometimes it just colors reality just a certain way. A certain way. And when we are radically open, it's easy to think that in God all things are possible. But let's say we hold the view of scientific materialism. Well, in scientific materialism, not much is possible. Not much is possible. Chemistry is possible. Whatever, the physics understanding of the day is that those things are possible. But God, no, not possible. Not possible with scientific materialism. And so it can be fun to just walk around with no view. And what you'll notice is you will start to feel more and more childlike. More and more childlike. Because as children, we have this view that anything's possible. Anything's possible. And I know some kids don't have that view if you grew up in a terrible household, but if we step into this space of emptiness, you'll start to feel younger. But the more you pile on views, the older you'll feel. The more locked in and clamped down, restricted. And so we'll play with this. Okay. Someone emailed me a question. It was an interesting question. And, I thought I'd just play with it a little bit. And so the question is, hi, Craig, do you take on teacher/guidance apprenticeships? Yeah, that's kind of a fun question. That's, like some people don't really know how I work. And, if you're going to apprentice with a teacher, well, the best way is to be close to that teacher, like really close. Like I was with my teacher. I was so close with my teacher, just there, 40 to 60 hours a week, for year after year after year. My relationship with I said it was 2 decades, a really active relationship, but it was really 3 decades. It's like, my God, 30 years, that's a long time. That's a long time. And in a sense, like I'm still apprenticing under him, just like he's in heaven now. So he's just guiding me from the other side. Uh, to be an apprentice, you have to be humble, you have to be open, you have to give your life to, whatever you're studying. And, I'll just say this, like I'm not set up for that experience right now, like the lived, like we're going to live in the same household. I'd need to have a big piece of land and, have a bunch of hippie yurts on it or something. All my young Padawans follow me around, but like that's the old way. That's the old way, and I trained in the old way. Like the old way was just given to me, and I was really happy with the old way. But the way that it is possible to train with me is there's individuals who they get on my schedule and they meet with me every week. So I get to know them. We have this relationship. We meet for years. And, I'll just say it. It's very expensive to meet like this. But hell, like me, when I worked for my teacher for 20 years of my life, that was ridiculously expensive. It was expensive just in the sense that, I mean, hell, I was an adult and making, $8 an hour, for a number of those years. And then, went to 9, 10, 11, 12, and, um, eventually, near the end of our relationship, when I was doing just real professional building for him, building a retreat center and everything, I was paid more money. But I mean, none of it was a living wage. And so, it was really expensive, in a different kind of way. I just gave him all of my time, all of my time. And that's how it's been throughout all of history. You just kind of like the starving artist under the teacher. And eventually, you go off on your own when you're ready. But the way I work is, I work in a real professional manner now, in the sense of, if people want to come and do inner work with me, and because if you're going to apprentice in the spiritual arts, well, you have to do all the inner work. You have to do all the inner work. And so there'll be periods of meditation and doing deep inner work, and there'll be times of just, sharing back and forth, looking at the shadow and this type of thing. And then, learning how to open to grace and channel grace. And, I've trained a lot of people in this. And again, some people come, for this type of work for 3 sessions, and some people come for 300 sessions. Some people come for 10 years. And, it continues. It continues. And for me, like, this is the life that I wanted. Like, I knew that this is what my life was about. So I saw myself as almost like a graduate school student, for 20 years. I don't know how long it takes to be a doctor, but, if we're talking about the realm of awakening, the realm of enlightenment, well, it's going to be some decades. It's going to be some decades, but I mean, it could happen that someone could show up in a really mature way and only need a little bit of support. sometimes it's like that. I showed up as a real child, and so I got 30 years of support. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of support. But I needed that. I needed it. My teacher really had to straighten me out because I was a real troublemaker, real troublemaker. And so, this question of, well, yeah, but I meet people wherever they're at, wherever they're at. And so, if you want to reach out and you want to, talk about this, yeah, get a hold of me. The other way is just to come, like if you can't afford all those individual sessions, which I fully understand because that's very expensive, is, like with my teacher, and I showed up to all the groups, all the groups. And so we'd have satsang for 3 hours on Wednesday night, 3 hours on Sunday morning, sometimes 4 hours. And it was every single week. And then my teacher expected like all this volunteer working on the land. And so, that's 6 hours a week, just to be at the classes. And then, just think for the average student, maybe another 8, 10, 12, 20 hours a week of volunteering. And it's like, well, how many people are willing to do that? How many people are willing to do that? Now, again, my teacher had a big piece of land and this whole property to maintain, and there's just a lot of work in that. And so, I don't have that type of thing. I don't have that type of thing. But, if we're going to, work with a teacher, you got to find a way to be close to the teacher. And, in this case, that's going to be coming to the groups, coming to the meetings, showing up, and contributing, speaking up, sharing of yourself. My teacher said, Craig, most people come and they just receive. They just receive. And, I came and I gave and I gave and I gave and I gave to the point of just, I lived in just incredible poverty because I gave so much to my teacher. And people used to think I was crazy how much I gave, how much I gave. But, and again, that's the old way. That's the old way. Like, but with tonight, like, well, what was I asking for you to give? Your view. Your view. And if we want to be free, well, that's all we have to give is our view. All of our views, every single one of them. Every single one of them. Now, one day, like I might settle down at a lower elevation and create a whole center and this and that, but that's not today. That's not today. And so this idea of apprenticeship, well, it's just a matter of having a relationship. And I'll just leave it at that because I've kind of said some big things in regards to like how I related to my teacher was massive, was massive. My teacher was my life, was my life. And in the modern age, like that's really shifting. It appears like the monasteries are falling apart, the churches are falling apart. And, all the great yogic secrets are just on YouTube right now for free. And so go gobble them up, like gobble them up, drink from this cup. Drink from this cup. But the important thing is like, if you want to work with a teacher, find a way. Find a way to be close to them. And again, maybe that just means showing up to all the meetings, but you go to the meetings and you speak up, you engage the teacher, you engage the teachings, you take the practice seriously. And in the olden days, like that was like you had to do that. It's almost like you had to prove yourself before they'd even let you into the monastery to be the apprentice. In the modern age, like, none of you have to prove anything to me. Like, I love all of you. It's just like, no one has to prove anything to me. But if you say, I want this, well, you follow it up with your life. Like, you just start showing up. You start showing up. And then after you show up for a while, then you could make a decision like, okay, okay, I feel at home here in this song. You never want to give yourself to something that doesn't feel like your home, that doesn't feel like your truth. I've studied in, so many different traditions, and a lot of the traditions I would do what my teacher said people would do with him is I would just go and I would just benefit from the tradition. This isn't true what I'm saying. I always gave. Anywhere I went, I gave. I always volunteered. I always gave. I thought I could say this other thing, but it's just not the truth. I always gave. I always volunteered wherever I went. And that's just that's just how I was. That's just how I was. And because that's just my nature. Is I wanted to be close to the teacher. So I'd volunteer. I'd show up. I'd be there. I'd help out. But again, in the modern age, it's okay just to show up and receive. But if it feels like home and you feel really close to a teacher and you feel called, I've had a lot of people, ask me about apprenticeships, and then they just like a lot of people get excited about the spiritual path. But as soon as, there's any pressure, and there's a lot of pressure when you work with a teacher, a lot of pressure. Because you start to merge with the teacher, you start to merge with the lineage. And these forces put a pressure on your life, a pressure to change, to grow, to evolve, to embody, to deepen. And it's a big deal. And for a lot of people, to just, it's more fun to be on Tinder. is what some people say. They get distracted by a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. They get distracted by life. And like, if you want to show up, it's really on you. It's really on you. So, anyways, that's a fun question. It's a fun question, and forgive me if I mean, don't forget. I'm just going to say this. I know sometimes I get real serious, but I'm very serious about this, and I had such a serious, intense relationship with my teacher. But again, that's the old way. I heard Hamid Ali from the Diamond Approach speak on this, and he said, we just can't do it like we did in the olden days. He said, like, uh, he'd be worried that he'd be sued, by his students if it was like in the olden days. Because in the old days, the Guruji would just work you to death as a way of just beating down your ego. And that's what my teacher did to me. It's just, he'd work me to death, literally, just work me so hard. And in the modern age, it's like, well, you can't really do that. You can't really do that. But you can show up in sessions. You can show up in all the groups. You can give of yourself. And, if you live in the same area, the teacher is like, well, you can spend some time with them. Spend some time with them. And so anyways. All right. Let's hear from Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
Hello.
Get you so I can hear you here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
Okay.
Yeah, how we doing?
Um, the view that I'm working with right now is this one that like my human effort, like the totality of my human effort is just like it's so small a comparison to what I receive and like constantly from the divine. It's just like I am trying to trying to find the right way to talk about it, but it's
Yeah,
like
say that another way because I'm having a little trouble following you.
it's just like a deep it's just like disdain with what I have to offer. It's just like it feels like small and unworthy in the face of like what it's just I just feel like I have so little to offer and I offer so little. Like
So straighten me out. You feel like you have so little to offer to the divine?
yeah, like to try and like offer like all that she gives to me like back. Like I just and because I notice it in like frustration with the small things in my everyday life. It's like I recognize that like that is that those are the steps I have to make, but it's
Yeah.
just like I it's like my ego like wants to make it all big, but it's like anything big starts with the small, but like the small seems unworthy because like and like I feel like the small thing that's unworthy. Like
Yeah. Yeah. So let me tell you just what I'm receiving now. It's like I've got the Divine Mother just screaming in my ear, you know, how much she loves you, how much she believes in you, how worthy you are, how beautiful you are, how radiant you are. And can you just make the small steps? Can you just make the small steps? And she knows it's hard and she knows why it's hard. And so we don't have to go into this unworthiness stance, but you can, you know, like in a healthy sense, like if you just imagine just transmuting unworthiness into humility, and humility is just like the recognition, and you know, like this is just how I feel. It's like recognition, like I'm just a kid, and I'm a kid who's like kind of a screwball and dyslexic and not eloquent or anything like that, but all this grace just pours down through me. And I don't, you know, sit here and think like I'm unworthy. I just have this feeling of humility, just like I'm a child. You're the creator of all that is, and I bow before thee. I bow before thee. But if you just begin with these small steps, like life really isn't about these big, massive steps. It's really just a million and one small steps every day, every day. And what I'm after has been, you know, a spiritual lifestyle. And what does that mean? Well, that means I'm in communion, I'm in connection with the divine, I'm open to this vast view. But it comes through a willingness to be humble. But if I think of myself as like worthy of all this grace, it's like hell no. Like I'm not worthy. I'm, you know, I'm just this guy. I'm just this guy. But you know, so that's like that's one view, right? Like I'm just this guy and I'm limited. I make all these mistakes. I'm always putting my foot in my mouth and you know, I get everything mixed up and just like, you know. But if I transmute that unworthiness, just work with it a little bit. Like, what's the truth here? Well, there's a humility here. Like I'm a child of God. You're a child of God. And of course, God loves us so much. Because we're children of God, we're worthy of God. We're worthy of God. But if we try to do a math of like, well, how much of this divine grace am I worthy of? It's like, wow, come on. We're always going to be the lucky one in the deal. You know, we're always going to be the one who gets, you know, like we get so much grace and we give very little back to God. But the only thing you need to give to God is that which is untrue. That which is untrue. So you give this unworthy, you lift up this unworthy, you give it back to God. God, I give this to you. And as you do so, you feel lighter inside. You feel this humility. And God loves a humble child because that's someone she can work with and work through and do great things and do great things. And so you with me here, Catherine?
Yeah, I'm just feeling like another layer of it
Yeah.
because it's like when I go like when I'm just sitting with my life, like okay, like this is my small step right now today, like in
Mhm.
this moment. Like
Yeah.
I get it's like I get blown off of the challenge almost because like I kind of just like slip into I feel like maybe like victimhood is like too strong of a word, but it's just almost like maybe it's just an opportunity to stay open, like what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can ask for help. It's like we can always ask for help. Say, God, I need some help with this thing. I have this little step, and I know it's not such a big step, God. It's a little step, but I need some help with these little steps. I need some help. I need you to come into me and show me and lead me and guide me through these little steps. I need your strength, Lord. Keep me on the straight and narrow. Keep me on the straight and narrow. And that's what we're inviting. We're inviting God to lead us. And when we're always inviting God to be with us, it's like unworthiness starts to fall away, because we're having this relationship with the divine. We're having a relationship with the divine. We say, hey, I want you here. You come here. You're the light, the love, the strength, the beauty, the compassion of all that is. Come into me and show it to me. Teach it to me. Lead me, guide me. How does the Our Father prayer go? Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us, Lord, from evil. It's just like that's the prayer. It's like lead us out, like keep us out of the temptation, God. Like keep me out of temptation, keep me out of the danger zones, deliver me from evil. Lead me into the light. Lead me into the light. And Catherine, you're a bright light. Like you have so much energy, so much fire, so much immensity. Like you're going to do great things in this world. You're already doing great things, but there's some real great things to come. But in order for us to step into this hugeness, we got to, get comfortable with all those little steps. And we can't, and we spoke about this in our last retreat on power. We can't just giving our power away. We have to keep our spiritual power close to us. And so all these little choices in the day are ways that we can waste our money, like our money being our spiritual power, or we can gather it, we can save it. And this is what I'm inviting for you, is to say yes. Say yes to the truth. Make the steps. And if you trip and you fall, quickly forgive yourself. But ask for God. God, help me out. Help me out. Keep me. I tell God all day long, keep me on the straight and narrow, God. Keep me on the straight and narrow. Because look, I run with some like really wild people in my life, and I can get into a lot of trouble real quickly, like real quickly, just because of the company I keep. I run with some rough characters, but I tell God like protect me and lead me and guide me and speak through me, and arrange things in my life, so it's easy for me to make these steps, to stay in the truth, to stay in the truth. And so is there more here you want to share?
It's just I can't afford to give my power away by feeling embarrassed with where I am.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, my God, like we can ask ourselves, like, does feeling embarrassed do anything for me? Like, no, no. But the spiritual tool that we use, instead of embarrassment, is just reflection. And we can take a moment and reflect, um, like, is what I'm doing helpful? Is it healing? Is it supportive? And if we get a no there, it's like, okay, well, I need to stop that. Like, I need to make a choice here. I need to make a choice. And the beautiful thing about God is so patient. And we see this because we're given just lifetime after lifetime, to sort the thing out. God is so patient, but it's like we don't have to be so patient. Like we can just reflect and say, hey, like this just doesn't work. This doesn't work. And so I'm going to put a boundary here. I'm going to stop that. And then I'm going to head in this direction, the direction of the truth, the direction of the truth. And when you're a bright light, like you are, Catherine, like once you start really stepping into truth, like there's going to be no stopping you. There's going to be no stopping you. And so, I encourage you just to get on that role of choosing the truth and say no to the thing that holds you back or limits you. And it doesn't have to be a big fight. It's like whenever we choose the truth, it's always going to be better for all of ourselves. Sometimes our ego like tries to convince us, oh no, I need to space out and watch Netflix all day, or oh no, I need to, go drink this or smoke that or just whatever people do, and it's like, we know it's not the way. But once you start stepping in the truth, because you have a lot of power and you step into it fully, like you'll find it'll be like this avalanche. And that's the beautiful thing is like once you get into that flow, it's really hard to get out of the flow. It's really hard to get out of it once you really get in it. Because the truth, it feels so good. It feels so free. It's so liberating. It feels wondrous. A lot of people like drink alcohol because it gives them some kind of like false sense of peace. Like when you come into true peace, it's like, fuck, I don't want to drink. Like, I want that. I want the true peace. I want the true peace. And when you find true love with God, it's like, this is what I want. This is what I am. I don't need to chase it outside of myself. And you see, when you step into the truth, our life becomes so utterly efficient. And so that part of you that feels embarrassed, let's meet her with love. Let's meet her with some kindness and compassion and welcome her into the light. Remind her of her beauty, her grace, her intelligence, her brilliance. And a lot of times we have to be a cheerleader for our own self. Say, hey, we got this. We got this. We are good fundamentally. But sometimes we're taught, by one of our parents that we're not good. And it's like, oh, we have to cast that voice out and just look in the mirror and be like, damn it, I'm really good. Like, I'm really beautiful. I'm really divine. Like what's here is good. And when you start to see yourself, like to truly see yourself, Catherine, you will not be embarrassed. You'll be shocked at how bright you are. Shocked. Like, oh my God, this is what I am. This is what I am. It's incredible what I am. And you see it in yourself, and then you start to see it everywhere. You start to see it everywhere. So thank you, Catherine, for sharing yourself. Yeah, so beautiful. So beautiful. Okay. All right, we'll do one more. We'll hear from Kyle. Let's see. Whoops. Where'd you go, Kyle? I think I might have pressed the wrong button. You there?
Yeah, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, I kind of have a technical question, more or less. It reminded me when you talked about Sedona. Um, it just feels like, so like planet Earth, it's almost like it's a manifestation of the Divine Mother. Is that true?
I mean, Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, Divine Mother. Yeah, 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 of course, of course. I mean, it's certainly the Divine Mother's creation. Yeah, yeah. But as you know, as you walk around planet Earth, especially if you're in a really beautiful place, it becomes really clear, really clear. And you were in Kauai, a little bit ago, and if you go to Maui, or I mean, even here in the Four Corners, it's just so beautiful. It's like I was just meditating this morning, just looking out just at that Raider Ridge just across the way, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It's like, well, what is that beauty? Yeah, it's the Divine Mother. It's the Divine Mother, in the form of Mother Gaia. And so what are we asking here? Is that the question, or is there more?
Yes, but like it seems like it's concentrated in certain areas, like the
Mhm.
the divinity.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up in Western Minnesota, and I was like, nothing against Western Minnesota, but I didn't sense that beautiful radiance of the Divine Mother when I was there. It was more like when I moved here. And then like last weekend I was in Santa Fe, and you pointed out the sanctuary of Chimayo,
Yeah.
and literally the dirt there is healing. Like, it
Yeah.
has healing powers.
Yeah.
And so it's like a concentration of the Divine Mother there.
Yeah. I mean, you'll find it that there's holy sites, pilgrimage sites, and energy vortexes, like Sedona. And Sedona is a vortex, and it is just so beautiful. So beautiful. Just the rocks there are amazing. And so, yeah, there's these sacred sites throughout planet Earth that really wake us up, really wake us up. But, I was listening to a teacher this morning, uh, a Buddhist, a Zen teacher, and he is from Minnesota. He's got a center up there, and, the same light that's here in Durango. It's in Minnesota. The same space is in Minnesota, and we can see it. And I mean, I can remember when I was just driving uh, one day in Cincinnati in the middle of winter, and it was like dirty, and like those Midwestern cities, for some reason, it's like it'll snow there, and then it'll turn to ice, and then the ice turns like black and brown and gray, and it just looks like it just looks like a terrible place. It's just just like all the dirt of the city and this and that and the cars and the traffic. But I mean, how I'll just see absolute radiance and beauty there too. And it's just when you're awake, it's hard not to see God everywhere. But of course, there's certain places that seem, just like within if you feel into your little toe, like you might feel some energy there, some light, but it's not like feeling into your heart. If you're in a place like Sedona, or Maui, Kauai, it's just all heart. It's all heart. It's all heart, and it's wonderful. It's wondrous. Encinitas is another one of those places where it's just like you're staring out the ocean. Yogananda's temple. It's just like, oh my God, so much love. But if you're in downtown San Diego or downtown LA, it's just like, huh, you know, it can be like that, if you're just a normal mortal. But, if you open your heart, you can find beauty there as well in a concrete jungle. You can find it everywhere. And for me, like one of the great questions that I had was, can I be free everywhere? And of course, like this is one of the hardest things to be free everywhere, but can I, there's certainly spaciousness everywhere. Like wherever I'm at, I can even remember just standing outside of Chicago somewhere. I don't know where I was, like maybe just in some big park in Chicago, and just seeing the skyline at night. It's just like this whole city's arising in space. And I've been in New York City and seeing just all of Manhattan arising in space. I've been in the subway. It's like the subway. Look at all this space in the subway. I've been in Walmart. It's like Look at all this space in Walmart. And so everywhere is made of space, peace, of light, of radiance, if you have the eyes to see. But there's some places, just like, like your heart chakra, like you go into your heart, you're like, oh my God, there's so much love here. There's some place on planet Earth you go, and it's like, wow, wow. Like if you've been to Moab, Moab and Sedona are very similar. I've spent a lot of time in Moab. And they're very similar, just geographically, big red rocks and all kinds of, incredible features and this and that. But there's just something there about Sedona that's so spiritually charged, so spiritually charged. And, I was even rock climbing last year. Where was I? South of Sedona, all the way down on the border at Kochi Stronghold. And it's this big, granite rocks you're climbing on, but there's big crystals all throughout the rock. And it's like, there's just something with the earth and with crystals. And I'll sound like a hippie here, but there's just something that just supercharges the matter. And, it's like crystals are just these whole other spiritual beings. And, like rock climbing on these rocks, and it's just like full of all this spiritual light. And it's like, this is incredible, but it's different than rock climbing in Moab. That's, just kind of feels like sandstone, with some cool features. And so, we're open. Wherever we go, we're open. But of course, as spiritual beings, we're going to be attracted to these power places, these pilgrimage sites, these vortexes. And we can spend a whole life chasing after them. And of course, that's not the way. But God has given us these gifts, so if we come into contact or have an opportunity to visit, it's like, go and receive. Go and receive. Like, drink from this cup, enjoy it. And that's one of the gifts of the Divine Mother, is creating this beautiful planet, is to go and experience places of great beauty. And anytime we're in a place of great beauty, it just seems like it's much easier to wake up. Like where I first woke up in the San Luis Valley is such an incredible place. It's just like a place of immense beauty, immense beauty. In fact, that church that you were at, that I told you to go to in Santa Fe, like that's actually like the lower, that's still like part of like the lower opening up section of the San Luis Valley. So it starts way up here in Colorado and goes all the way down throughout New Mexico. And it's this beautiful range of mountains, the Sangre de Cristo, blood of Christ mountains. How about that? How about that? Of course, that's going to be a holy spot. Of course, that's going to be a holy spot. So anyways, well, thank you, Kyle.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for the
you.
question. Yeah, good to see you. Good to have you here. Okay, well, so much love to all of you. And, I hope to see you all at the upcoming retreats, and hope to see you at Satsang next week and the groups this week. And so much love and respect. And so let's bring our palms to our hearts and we pray. May all beings be free. May all beings be happy. May all beings be uplifted into the highest light, love, and peace. May this earth realm, this Mother Gaia, be blessed 1,000,000,000 times over. May we learn to live and honor and respect this beautiful planet. May we all awaken to the highest light and love. Okay. Good night, everyone. So much love. See you next time. Bye.